Hello everybody, Richard Michael Owen here at Owen Automotive, and gonna do something a little different. This is gonna be a workshop diary. I got about a week of work ahead of me before I head to the Goodwood Revival. And so I just wanted to document what's going on in my life. I just got back from Monterey and I gotta get these two cars in front of me finished in the week. So you guys are gonna join me along the ride and getting these done. So what are we looking at? This is a complete chassis for a 1952 Jaguar XK120 fixed head. I've done a two-part video series taking apart the engine for this car and putting it back together. There's almost 2 hours of footage on just this unit right here. And this is a very, very cool and interesting fixed head. It has the early William Mills head with these studless cam covers and lots of really early details. You just go around it and it's different. The way the ignition wires are done, it has a special cap here that goes out sideways. The ignition wires run underneath the carbs, down and around, somewhat unusually. But yeah, I have two videos showing that whole engine going together. And I put the whole chassis together kind of in a concourse vein. So got all the original nuts and bolts in black oxide and just went the extra mile to make it look pretty nice and tidy. See the steering box here on this side and the long shaft. Look at that thing, non-collapsible. And yeah, going high end here, got the porcelain manifolds, new Bell stainless exhaust. And so there's two things I have to do to this. We're gonna do in this episode, we're gonna get the generator together and in. I need that to get the thing running. And I also need to put an idler in the steering link here. There's a steering idler. It goes from this taper here into the chassis here. So that's what's gonna happen on this episode on this car. But in the back here, we have I would consider this a national treasure. It's a 1961 AC ACE-Bristol. And I have helped the owner restore this car over the last year and a half. And he bought it in pieces. So yeah, it's a pretty amazing car. Of course, this is where the Cobras came from. Carroll Shelby saw maybe even this very car in the showroom at AC in England and had them engineer it to accept the Ford 260 and 289. But this is where it all came from. This is the genesis of the Cobra, which actually is a copy of an Italian Ferrari. But that's a long story. So this is a Bristol engine. Me and my dad took it apart. We realized it had knurled pistons. It had knurled valve guides. So we sent it to England to a company called Ian Nuthill Racing, IN Racing. They are the absolute pros on these Bristol engines. And in fact, they remanufactured them completely from nothing. So there wasn't anything they were able to, they weren't stumped on any parts. They make everything, which is pretty impressive. You can see the chassis number here. It's BEX1169. And this is the matching numbers engine. It's the matching number cylinder head. It's the matching number starter, generator. This car really is a dream come true when it comes to collectability. This is the original radiator. I sent it to California. A company called Brassworks record it. And yeah, it's coming along quite nicely. Look at the original air filters here, the Volks air filters. And I spent a lot of time looking at all these parts, figuring out what color they all should be. Should it be CAD plated? Should it be black oxide? I'm pretty happy with the way that this has turned out. Yeah, I put this windscreen together. Now, I have the task this week of putting all the shut panels on, so that should be fun. You guys can join me there. Now, when Bristol were selling these cars, they sold two versions. They sold a race version and a street version, and this is obviously the street version. I can tell because of the vent, little scoops here, and it has a washer system on it. Although some race cars probably have washer systems. So I advise the owner not to paint the steering wheel. We just polished it. So that's the original steering wheel. It's a lot like an Austin Healey steering wheel, but it has a big boss in behind there. And a lot of these original gauges were rebuilt when my customer purchased the car. They were pretty amazing. Look at all the controls for this car. It's was overly equipped, and you can see it has a heater too. That's another feature of the road cars, was a heater and a demister vent. So yeah, that's pretty neat how AC Bristol were kind of making a road car out of a race car, because when we fire this engine up, it is full on race. It's pretty unbelievable. This is an all aluminum body around a steel lattice framework, just like the Ferrari it copied in the 50s. You kind of get an idea of it here. You can see some of the framework in there, just a steel tube frame and aluminum wrapped around it. So pretty exotic car here at Owen Automotive, one of the best we've ever had in. And yeah, I just love working on stuff like this. It's a real parts bin car too. Like a lot of these parts and pieces came from other cars in the British motor industry. Like these bumpers, I think, came from a little Ford Prefect. And I don't know where these came from, but yeah, a lot of parts and pieces here I was really familiar with. If you look at the Lucas screenjet washer in there, a lot of stuff that just was available at the time, a real parts bin car. Okay, at the end here is a TF that my dad is doing. So he's back tomorrow, so maybe we'll have a look at the process involved there. We have a temporary gas tank fitted on this because this car sat for what looks like 20 or 30 years. And this gas tank here, it has an external gas tank that's painted body color. So it's not the easiest thing to deal with when it gets rusted out and full of bad fuel. So probably gonna have to take this out and get it cleaned out or think about replacement. All right, well, that's a quick tour of the shop. Let's get to work. I think I'll start on this Ace. So first up, I wanna put the grille in the Ace. I think it's really gonna finish it off nicely. I have the original grille down here and it's in exceptional shape. It's never been damaged. It's made all of aluminum. And it's a relatively easy process, just has 6 screws that holds it onto the body really. But I have to go mine for these holes. For instance, you can see one of the holes here, that's easy peasy. But the one over here still has the rivet in it and it's been painted over. So I have to try to find that hole and get it to reappear while doing as little damage as possible. That's the name of the game when dry building like this. This one I can see the faintest impression of a hole. That should be pretty easy. Missing a hole up here. I can feel on the back side, I feel filler here, so I think I can find that one. So just gonna find all these 6 holes. This one's right on the leading edge. Then I'm gonna put the grill in. Hopefully it fits, eh? Fingers crossed. So first up, just gonna be safe around the paint. Put some masking tape here on the body. And anywhere where I'm gonna be drilling or anything like that, I always like to use a double. And I'm actually gonna mask inside as well, just in case any of my tools make a scratch there. This is a high-end car. I wanna keep it that way. So now I'm gonna just see if I can grab onto whatever this blob is here. And there, it was just a bit of filler behind there. See that? Okay, so that's good news. It wasn't a rivet. So next I'm gonna use this hand drill. See, there's a tiny little drill on a hand crank and come in from behind. This oil cooler is a little bit in the way. I gotta get my head in there. Oh, there we go. There we go. I poked through. See that? Okay, success. I love to see this kind of stuff. Just doing this automotive surgery. Okay, I had a lot of success here. Just hand drilling these holes out. They were just full of a bit of filler there. And I got them all to 7/64ths. See, I even found that one up there. So you can see my hand drill here, and I just went up to 7/64ths, which lets me use number 8. Now I have a whole bunch of new old stock slotted screws. I think these are a number 8. I know it says 10, but these are a number 8 by a half. I think they're gonna be bloody brilliant. Let's put it on. All right, let's send our prayer to the AC ACE-Bristol gods. I'm pretty sure this grill does fit though, because the gentleman down at Coachworks who painted the body do great work, and they know to make sure that things like this fit before paint. Oh, look at this going in. So I'm fighting the little rivets here on the bottom. And so it's gonna have to go in bottom first to clear the rivet heads. Okay. All right, easy does it. We cleared the rivet heads. Now where are we tight? Oh yes, the joys of automotive restoration. Oh, we're tight right here. Luckily it's a little flexible. Oh, I think we're in. Wow, the original grill in here, I love it. Woohoo! Well, this is simply wonderful. You can tell it's original when all the holes line up and it just goes together like they were made to be one piece. Love it. Yep, original grill, straight, sharp, fits like a glove. How about that? Pretty amazing. So there is a provision here for a starting crank, but that's only for the AC engine cars, the Bristol engine cars. There was no pass-through, there was no hole in the radiator. So to finish off the front end today, I'm gonna put the headlight trim rims on. Now these are old original Lucas PLs that I had for my Jag, but I donated them to this project, and we got some original headlight rings here, triple chromed by Randy at Electroshine. And I know what everybody's thinking, well, hey, why don't you just buy some reproduction headlight trim rims? Well, that's because these look and fit so much better when they're done by professionals. They just are polished much more beautifully. They're, I don't know, they're deeper, they're crisper. And that's the way I like to go with these high-end cars. So yeah, let's put these on. Okay, I've warmed up. I did the passenger side. We're on the driver's side now. I gotta make sure this rivet here, this chrome-plated brass rivet is towards the top, at the very top, so my screw hole here will line up properly. And that's right where I wanna be. So the first thing I wanna do is get it over top of the upper two points. Put this piece of tape down in case it wants to fly away. I'm just gonna try to massage it over. It's pretty tight. Car's wiggling on the hoist here. Come on. It's so close. There it is. How about that? All right, got that automotive jewelry on there on the front end, looking pretty complete up front, I would say. And next I'm gonna move on to the engine bay. And sir, I kind of glossed over what this engine really is, which is truly spectacular. It's a 6-cylinder engine made by the Bristol Aircraft Company, kind of to a pre-war design by BMW. There's triple Solix carburetors, down to have carburetors on there. And the way this works is that it's a little 2-liter wide angle inline 6, and it has one camshaft down the block that feeds, I believe, this bank of rockers. Then there's an arm on the rockers over here that sends a little push rod through this tube, and it actuates the other side. So there's a lot of valve train going on there. It's pretty complex. I'm glad we had the guys at Ion Racing sort this engine out. So many thanks for that, guys. So what am I doing in here today? I'm putting this coolant tube in. It's a part I didn't know we had until I had this whole engine together. And what this will do is it'll replace this hose, which is kind of errantly running along the bottom here. And so this is a nice piece to have. It only came on the road cars equipped with heaters and demisters. So I'm gonna drain the coolant, get some hose clamps and put it in. Okay, I think the best way to go here is just attach this coolant tube to the engine. It goes on one of the exhaust manifold studs here. This one right here. Look at that. Then put the brass nut on. I got the original 1/4-inch Whitworth brass nuts on these. Pretty amazing that they've lasted this long. None of them fell off. All right, coolant tube's installed. Man, this engine looks really nice when it's all lit up. So that's great. Gonna take a break from the AC here, and let's look at the generator for the XK120. Okay, switching gears somewhat. All wrapped up here like Christmas is the field case for the XK120 generator. And whoa, look at that. Isn't that amazing? So these were originally tinned, and I thought as an alternative to tinning, I would get it CAD plated, and that just looks like $1,000,000, doesn't it? Wow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some polish on here to help preserve the finish, and then we'll see if we can find some rivets so we can put this plate back on. You can see this original plate here. If you'll pull a focus, this one's dated 2nd month of 52. So it's original to the car. It was put on with these little friction rivets, and I don't know if I have them, but it'll go right there. So let's see if I can get all this done right now. Rivets, I hope I have them. Let's have a look. Let's go. Definitely not those. So making some progress. I found the type of rivet I need. It's these small, I call them kind of friction rivets. These are what hold on tags on engine blocks. This one happens to be an 1/8 of an inch, but I have a little bit of the one that came out of the generator, and it's 3/32. The closest thing I have is an actual rivet here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to knurl over the shank of this rivet as much as I can, put them in with epoxy, and I think that'll be good. I think this is gonna work, you know. Poor rivet. Okay, time for the main event. Put the tag on the body. And then I got my rivets, and there's actually a small washer underneath each rivet. I learned that from my friend Godfrey Miller. Getting a bit of epoxy everywhere. So I got my gloves on. Okay. Okay, so I got that one sort of in. And then this one is gonna go in as well. Okay. Gotta take my gloves off. It's just not enough hand feel for me. And then I'm gonna drive these in. Oh, look at that. And this one as well. All right, thank you, Jaguar gods. Little bit of epoxy worming through here. But yeah, that's gonna be spectacular. There we go, look at that. Tag's back on. This is gonna be amazing. All right, gonna go back on the Ace. Got these absolutely gorgeous bucket seats to put in. They were retrimmed by my friend Jeff Chrysler of Right Way Heritage Trimming. He's gonna do the whole car. But just for the test drive, gonna install these seats, get the holes in the floor. And aren't they looking magnificent? That dark blue leather, the carpet in the rear. Beautiful. Yeah, back on top here. And just gonna check out the seat tracks. Here's one for the driver's side. And now I wanna make sure that I have the right threads here, so I just put a nut on there. This car is full of BSF, BSW threads, but these seem like they're standard, so that's gonna be pretty easy. And as a bonus, we already have holes in the floor, so it'll drop right in there. This is gonna be pretty easy, I think. I want to preserve these tracks. They've been nicely CAD plated. So I'm just going to run some spray oil in there and keep these running free. Even the handle's been chromed. Isn't that nice? Just tightening down those seat tracks, I thought, well, let's do a tour underneath this car. Why not? So you can see the main chassis tubes there. They're round tubes. I think it's 3-inch tube. And that really is the backbone of the car. And then there's this steel lattice work, kind of round lattice work that the aluminum body and everything attaches to. Front suspension has a regular lower control arm and then a transverse spring on the top of the hub. See that? That's just like early Cobra. Then we're looking at disc brakes from a TR3. So that's what's going on there. See the oddball steering linkage here, this central pivot point. That's kind of unique. And we're looking at the bottom of the Bristol engine here. It has quite a large oil pan. Moving down, we can see the exhaust here, very nicely done in stainless, polished up. And then the seat tracks, you can see kind of these strengthening ribs that go underneath the aluminum floorboards, and that's what the seat tracks tie into. I thought that was pretty cool. And at the rear here, we have a fully independent rear suspension. It's kind of an oddball setup. Got the diff there with a half shaft going to a control arm and another transverse leaf spring that sits on top of the diff. And diff cover is kind of funny. It's built into the chassis. See it up there? That's welded in. Kind of an unusual setup. And got a big fuel tank here on the bottom. But this car is just lovely and straight. Coachworks do such an amazing job with aluminum. They're experts at Mercedes 300 SL. Just give you an example here. We'll go up into the inner fender and look how nice this aluminum looks. It's really a sight to behold. And they actually made up these fender liners as well to protect the aluminum. But you can see the original weld up there. This is all original aluminum. Pretty amazing car, really. See if the tracks move. All the way back to the bodywork. One thing left to do, let's see what it's like. Ooh, there's a big wheel there. Oh, isn't that lovely? The steering wheel's massive. Look at that. It's kind of the same, has a different boss. But yeah, I forgot. I redid all the original switchgear here. I'll bring you guys in and show you what it looks like. Yeah, I completely forgot about this switchgear. It's all the original bakelite knobs, and nothing beats the originals. The plastic alternatives from the Healy guys just don't look quite the same. Interestingly enough, we can control the ignition timing, the distributor, right from this knob here. And this one I stuck in, this is for the washer system. This is the way the Jaguar did it. But originally on this car, it would have had a little white knob like this. It's just this is a double action knob. I need the single action version of this knob. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. So if anybody has a little knob like that, please let us know, a little switch, because that's what belongs right here on this AC ACE. Yeah, those seats look great. Let's put some doors on. Having a good look at the passenger side door here, and there's a bit more work I need to do before I put these doors on. But just kind of a quick look at how it's made. It's pretty revealing. It shows the construction method that Bristol was using at the time. So you've got the steel round tube, and then pop riveted to that is a flange, and then the door skin is wrapped around the flange. So I bet you a lot of the body is made in a very similar kind of Superleggera maybe technique. And I can tell this is the original door. It has the chassis number 1169 stamped into it. And what I have to do now is fit this door pocket. You can see how simply it was made. There's a piece of aluminum in there. That's the original piece of aluminum. And this will pop rivet to the bottom of the frame. And then I have to stretch the leather around these 4 bolts. This Home Hardware variety hardware is not gonna run with me. So I've gotta find some new bolts and install this door panel. Okay, I'm gonna pop rivet this door panel on. This is the driver's side I'm working on here. Be careful. There it is. Got the pocket fastened in there at the bottom, and now have to stretch it over. It actually stretches over and around where the hinges mount, and it actually goes underneath the latch here too. It's kind of ingenious, but it's kind of a pain at the same time, because the upholstery has to be in and in place when you're putting the door on the car. So yeah, this is, I think, for the strap for the catch. So you have to stretch the leather, and I'm gonna glue it in place. I'm getting closer. So you can see here the pocket, it's held in with the latch and the 2 hinges on the front. Now I've glued it down here and kind of held it down with these little plates. These are where the hinges go. And I hope that this will stay put when we install it on the car. So yeah, this door tomorrow is going to be ready to go. Right on. Look what just arrived, my heavy duty self-adhesive sponge rubber weather strip. That's a mouthful. And this product is very similar to what AC used around all the apertures, 1/2 inch. And I really like the sponge rubber product. It's just a little more durable than the foam that I see at the hardware stores. Awesome. Yeah, this rubberized weather strip, I just love it. I think it looks really clean, and it's really close to what they used at the factory. All right, I'm gonna get in the car. I don't know what this view's gonna look like. I gotta attach the door to this hinge right here. Dad's gonna bring it over, climb in. Steering wheel's kind of in the way. So I think just offering up in the closed position here, should be able to get pretty close. I'll just do the easiest one right here. It needs to move forward. Is that right? Okay, I got the hinge totally attached to the door. It's on loose. I'm just using this standard piece of foam as a stop. So the door does have some movement. Not much actually. You can loosen it a bit. Okay, there we go. So now the door has a bit of movement here. And what I want to do is carefully shut it to accept this latch mechanism. And I know Coachworks, who did the bodywork on this car, already set these doors up. So I think this is going to be a pretty easy job. But I just want to make sure that it's not going to pinch here in a weird way, because I don't want to crack this paint. So it's looking pretty good there. Door's a little low. I'm going to pick it up. Gaps are looking good all the way around. And let's see if we make the first latch here. Fun and games with car restoration. We're in the thick of it here. So I'm running into a slight issue, and that's the fact that the material of that pocket has pushed the door out. And at the back here, I can deal with it for sure because it has these T-car style latches. These are amazing, fully adjustable, kind of a rubberized striker, and that's really easy to deal with. So I can push the back of the door in. But at the front of the door here, I just have no option. And the door is sticking out at the top about the thickness of that pocket. So what are we gonna do about this? So either the pocket has to be modified so it's much thinner. I think there's more of a gap than we can modify that pocket material. Or the hinge has to be modified. Now who's to blame for this? What's going on here? What do we do about it? Well, I think I'm gonna send this car back to the body shop, and I think it's gonna have to be modified at the hinge. And I don't blame those guys. The person that took this car apart initially should have warned them, look, there's material that goes in between the hinge and the door. But if you have experience with these hinges, look, I got this T-car. Remember at the beginning I showed this T-car. Always you have to respect the fact that these latch systems go over the upholstery, and you have to respect that. And that's why these doors take a little while to set up, because of that extra thickness. Okay, gonna put the trunk on. Dad's bringing it over. Is it pretty heavy? It's made like the door is all aluminum. Wow, look at that. Beauty, painted blue on the inside. That's the way all the shut panels should be on this car. So we'll take one side. Wow, it's so light. It's beautiful shape too. Let me get my head in there. And pull through here first. Oh, there's 4 holes in the trunk. Bring it up. There's 4 holes in the trunk. Wow, look at these shapes, everybody. Oh, yeah, I think that's gonna work. Whoa! Oh, look at that! Beautiful. Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't be any happier with this trunk. In here you can see the SU electronic fuel pump. These are fitted only on the competition cars, but they're a nice bonus to get the car first started. There's an AC mechanical pump hooked up on the engine. So there's a strut here, an automatic strut. See, it comes down, locks in place, and the fit of this trunk is just perfect. That's amazing. Got the lights working here, and I'll show you something cool. The tail lights, when they're just in the driving light function, actually light up the inside of the trunk. I'll show you how that works. It's quite an ingenious, simple design.
Ran good. Oh yeah.
Okay, let's put the hood on. It's a beautiful shape. A lot of curvature there to it. It easy does it here. You know it. Okay, got the hinges fully attached here, and the hood comes down quite nicely. Look at that. So I had a really good first drive there. Just went around the block twice, driving really slowly, keeping an eagle eye on all the gauges. I know when I pulled in, I said that the oil temperature gauge wasn't working, but it starts at 40 degrees Celsius, so I hadn't actually driven it long enough for a reading there. Gonna put some fuel into it. But one thing I did notice was a slight noise pulling it in and out of the shop. And it turns out that what I call this side rod, it goes into the tie rod end. I guess sometimes you can call this a tie rod too. Look at that, the paint's missing. And that's because it's scraping against this inner panel here. See, there's a paneling behind that flap. So what I have to do is probably take off this fastening strip, and we'll cut away that material so the tie rod doesn't rub. It's the same on both sides. So we'll do that right now. Got the bottom 3 rivets out so I can push this aside. We can see what we're up against here. So this is going to be a little challenging because this splash panel is actually folded over for strength right where the tie rod wants to be, what I call the side rod. So I'm just going to cut this away. That's all I can do. We need the clearance. It can't be rubbing going down the road. And I think that'll be it. I'm just going to cut it off. Okay, got it on the ground now. All 4 wheels are just kind of barely touching. I'm just going to put some weight on only this corner of the car. And let's see where the tie rod ends up. There we go. That's about the max height. So you can see the tie rod's clearly touching the splash panel there. It's totally locked it. Because of where I have the jack, I probably won't be able to turn it either. I can't. Yeah, so it's just going to scrape along there the whole way. Push that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do it. Oh, my God. How much am I getting paid here? All set. You can see my cutout here, so the tie rod has lots of clearance. Just put a lick of paint on there to see if it rubs again, but I think we've buttoned this one up enough. You're not gonna see this repair. It's gonna be hidden behind the rubber, but it's one that definitely had to be made. Just gonna do the other side, then we can take it for its second test drive. Sweet. Drive it now? No, you're used to going. Well, as much fun as it's been making this a roadworthy AC Ace and driving it for the first time in 50 years, I have to move on. So I've made my list of adjustments and things I'd like to do in the future with this car, but it's nice to have it running and driving down the road, that's for sure. And it sure does sound glorious. I don't know if my video camera here captures the sound, but it is just a glorious note, that 6-cylinder with the 3-to-1 exhaust manifold. So what are we doing? We're moving on to the XK. I've got to get this thing ready for the body to be dropped down on top of it. Now off camera, I did install the idler here. So I got the idler installed. But what's come back is the generator. So yeah, we were working on the generator, getting the tag on, and it's back from the electrical shop, looking absolutely splendid. This is really going to be a highlight of the engine bay. And I have also the fan belt, B35. And the auto electric shop gave me the instructions on how to polarize this generator, which is great. Basically, you just take the B and bridge it over to the F or the DF and bridge it over to the B plus there. Unfortunately, this regulator, the shop tells me it's dead. It looks pretty clean inside, so if anybody knows where I can get one of these reconditioned, please, I'd like to save this original if possible. Okay, let's get this generator in the car. Okay, it should just slide in, right? Come on, that's tight, man. What? Okay, we're getting close to startup. Got this beautiful generator installed. And I had to get a B36. That seemed to be the right length for this early setup. But yeah, I'm just loving the look of that generator. So over here, Dad's working on wiring up some of the electrical system. We got to power the starting carburetor, the coil, and then we'll be attempting to start this engine. First time in 40 years. Okay, I think we got everything hooked up. Fuel pump's ticking. Trying its best down there, isn't it? Yeah. I've heard this noise before. workshop. All pressure's good. Woo! She's alive! Listen to that. Wow. Smooth, isn't it? It's awesome. Wow. Look at that. First start in 40 years. Let's give it up. Let's give it up, sir. There. Oh yeah, now give it a That was incredible.
Good, it's alive.
Awesome. Now that makes me so happy.
It's ready for a drive.
It's been sitting here for so long.
Just gotta find a seat.
Waiting on parts. Amazing, amazing stuff, guys.
Oh, it's pretty heat hot. The manifolds are getting warm.
Okay, well, how amazing was that? That was the first start in 40 years. Started right up. Really happy. Couldn't be happier. Got the wheels on. So next thing we're going to do is roll over to Jetstream and Jason. We'll see what those guys have been up to and see what the body looks like. Put it down. Oh, I gotta adjust the torsion bars. Look at that, it just dropped on the ground. Nearly. Okay, torsion bar adjustment. Then we can send it over there. Be a real low rider. Okay, just adjusted the torsion bar nuts on the bracket, on the middle of the chassis. I'll show you what that looks like. Let's see what the ride height's like now. That's pretty good. Of course, after the car gets the body installed, and it's been going back and forth a little bit, we'll adjust for ride height and then tighten down on the control arm bushings. All right, rolled the car over to Jetstream. This is my friend Jason. He runs Jetstream.
How you guys doing?
And we are gonna take a look at what's going on here. Rolled the chassis over.
Nice
And
chassis.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, it's pretty shiny. I think the guys over here did a nice job repairing the frame and painting it. And,
Yeah, that engine looks
the guys
great
over at
there.
Owens, well, they put all this together. It looks beautiful.
Thanks,
I
man.
can't get ready to I'm gonna get the first drive.
Yeah, first drive, sure, you can have it. So what do we got going on here?
Wow! Regular stuff that's going on. We got a little T-bucket hot rod. We're doing maintenance and stuff too. We got a Lotus is free for paint body restoration and engine and trans.
I love that Lotus, man. Is that black?
It's black.
Beautiful,
black,
beautiful stuff, man.
Pretty nice car.
That's awesome.
We got a little 230 SL, early car, 63. There's our Morgan, Honda S2000. Morgan.
So this is, everybody, this is a Morgan body over top of a Honda S2000 chassis. Pretty amazing. Custom car, complete custom build.
Yeah. We got our electric Healy here.
Electric Healy. What? Look at that.
Should be the first one in the world, electric Healy. Boom, there you go. Batteries.
Hold on, let's have a look. Let's have a look at those batteries. I missed it. Oh,
We got them
see,
on.
you got batteries in there?
Yeah.
Holy,
that's
look at
better.
that
In the
array
boot.
in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space in there for batteries. Wow.
Yeah.
Florida green.
Yeah, this is actually the first Healy we ever painted here, like about 15 years ago. So it's pretty nice.
Still looks good, man.
We're gonna start passing it off to somebody else.
Maybe for sale.
Yeah, maybe. A couple more on the go here. We got a 53 Corvette, one of 300, which like maybe 225 surviving. A 53 Corvette. So anyone doesn't know, the Corvette in 53, Chevy built up only 300, and they all came polo white over red interior. Blue flame, 6-cylinder with triple carbs.
Oh, let's
and
have a look in
cam.
there.
So pretty neat. This car is hasn't been touched in 20 years.
A
And
survivor.
same owner for 52 years, actually.
Survivor.
Same owner. This one's going up for sale, and we're looking for someone to buy it and restore it. It could use a little bit of restoration work.
Yeah, if
Pretty awesome
anybody's
car.
interested in an early Corvette, looks pretty original here. Old paint, eh?
Well, the paint, I think it's been painted once, and it's kind of terrible, but you can see the original weave in the fiberglass.
You can see the weave.
You can still see the weave, and
Look
a
at
lot of
that.
that, it's just, that's kind of how they were. They were pretty terrible to start with. You know?
Okay,
The dealers
okay.
had a lot of complaints about them,
Interesting.
you know, from day one.
So maybe
So-
for sale. Give us a ring
give
if
us a
you're
ring,
interested in the Corvette or the Healy. Wow.
Got that. And we got a Jag E-Type.
Wow, look at this in E-Type.
And we're just doing final prep to start painting all the guts and then paint the rest of it on a rotisserie. And yeah.
So here's the engine subframes. This is what the suspension and the engine mounts to, and this will be painted, right, and then mounted up to the body here. So the whole front half of the car is basically those frames that we saw back there. And you can see the work that Jason does, you know, making sure that everything has been sanded down so we get a good mechanical bond on the paint. That's really important. You don't want this paint peeling over after all the years, and this is how it's done. Wow, that looks really nice, man.
Yeah, should be nice.
Cool.
Local guy just down the road. And we'll,
It's neat to see the whole engine subframe together like this.
yeah, well, this way, I mean, it's all the pieces have been individually sandblasted and primered and fit to the car. So at this point now, it's all going to fit back and everything lines up. So,
Awesome.
yeah, pretty cool. That's basically the front end of a Jag. Right?
Yeah, the
So
whole front end. And
yeah,
those
right.
aren't steel tubes. They're an exotic alloy called Reynolds. I think it's 531.
Wow.
So pretty special stuff, those engine subframes.
We'll,
Oh, here we go. Here's the body.
and here's back to the Jag 120. Here's our body. Are we going to unwrap this?
Yeah, let's do a reveal. Let's do a reveal.
Right? So it's going back on that frame tomorrow. So
It's going on the frame tomorrow.
should be, right? So
Oh, man, my...
the engine bay. Oh yeah.
Oh, we got color in the bay. Hold on, my gimbal's kind of shaky here. Hold on, I just got to reset this. Okay, I got the gimbal adjusted. Look at this. Your tires are going to be in the way here, but look at that. So we have the bronze in the engine bay. So that's the final finish. And the whole car on the underside and the inside is painted black. And then we're looking at the primer coat on the outside. Is that right?
That's right. So it's ready for
Look at
bolt it
that.
down the chassis and do a final fit with all the panels, doors, bonnet, boot, and the sand.
Yes, so the final fit will be done on the chassis. That's
chassis.
critical.
Which we did the majority of we did all the bodywork and metal fab on this on the chassis before we gave it to you guys. So
Awesome.
yeah.
It's going to be one spectacular XK120 coupe, that's for sure. Holy, I just love the shape of that, even on that angle. It's
Several
such a...
people would like to cut that roof off and put on a hot rod.
No,
but,
no, no.
We told them no.
I think this is going to be one of the nicest cars we've ever done. Yeah, really, the color, the shape, the specification. I'm really looking forward to this, Jason. Thanks so much for working together in such an awesome car, man.
Well, yeah. You want to do a quick on the Lotus engine?
Oh, we got a Lotus engine? Okay.
Yeah, let's see.
That door. We got a Lotus engine here. So this is for the Esprit?
Yeah, this is for the Esprit.
Wow, that's nice and clean. So what are we looking at?
We're looking at a engine for this Lotus Esprit, 2.5 liter. We changed the crankshaft on it. It's originally 2 liter, so it's a 2.5 stroker. And we got all our parts from these nice guys, Lotus Bits in England, who supplied us with all the stuff. We've got a CNC ported head, cams, pistons, rods, the whole 9 yards. It's the original block for the car.
Yeah.
And instead of sending it over there, we decided, we're going to do it here. And we've got the cams over there. We're just setting up the valve train and checking our clearances between the pistons. So this thing should put out 270 horse, naturally aspirated.
Wow, look at the cam carriers there. So we're looking at a 4-cylinder, dual overhead cam, 2.5 liter, 270 horsepower. That's amazing.
Yes, and it's on the lower side. The guys
Look how clean it is here.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Everything's
Good
been,
work. I love
yeah.
seeing everything so nice and clean and laid out
Fiberglass
like this.
block and the
Oh, yeah,
all the
okay.
other bits there, right? So
That is
pretty
spectacular.
nice, but there's a lot of work that goes into making sure that this thing is tickety-boo and is gonna run awesome. Yeah, well, let's just put the chassis.
All right, everybody. Well, that does it for my workshop diary. I'm really happy to have this chassis here with the capable guys at Jetstream. So that does it for this episode. I'm off to England for the Goodwood Festival of Speed in 2 weeks. If you're gonna be there, send me a message on Instagram or send me a comment. Maybe we can meet up in England. All right, that was a long one. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.